Hey guys, happy Friday. Oh my gosh, yes, it's the weekend. Welcome to the Fox 5 Live Zone. I'm your host, Guy Lambert. Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, coming up on the show today, all eyes now on the Middle East. This after Israel strikes Iran. Now Iran vowing vengeance. We'll break it all down for you. Olympian, track star, and now head coach of the Howard University track team. Yes, I'm talking about David Oliver. He's going to join us on the show. And dare I say, according to a newly released study, being honest can really help your relationship? Ouch. That's going to be a tough one. We'll chat about that and so much more coming up today right here on the Live Zone. But first, how about we check out the weather? Caesar joining us with all things weather right here on the LZ. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well. I hope you've been staying cool over the last few days.
Yeah, it's not been, well, yeah, it's been hot.
Yeah, I was going to say, yesterday it was definitely a little bit on the warm side, right?
Yeah.
And we saw our first 90-degree day, officially hitting 92 degrees over at DCA.
Wow.
And we're going to repeat that again today.
You know what's really interesting before you get into it?
Yeah.
I was listening to the radio and I heard that I think the normal time we hit 90 is what, May 18th or something like that?
Yeah, so it's usually around late to mid-May. It's
Wow.
around that time period. Because usually you'll notice people are starting to be excited for the pools, getting everything going right around Memorial Day. And that's the last week of May. So most people are ready by then. This year, it's been quite cool.
Yeah,
so
I'll tell you. Wow.
we got a lot of that rain, which was definitely needed. But yeah, we saw one of the later 90s here for the first time in quite a while. So I think last time we saw a 90-degree day, our first 90-degree day in June was 2023. But then this late, I think, was 2003.
Sheesh.
So it's been some time, right? Yeah. And we repeated all over again today. We are expecting to see temperatures back in towards those upper 80s, low 90s in the district. So we are going to be hot and humid. We're also expecting to see some afternoon thunderstorms. That summertime setup really holding strong for us. And then you'll notice this one system spins over in towards parts of the Midwest, dragging in that warm front. That helps us get rid of some of the wildfire haze, but that then brings in that humidity, that heat, and then, of course, those afternoon rain showers and even a few rumblers going in towards the evening time frame. Then as we look at just how heavy some of the rain can be, well, not everyone will see rain, but the rain showers that we do see, they will be quite heavy pourers. You'll notice that we do have a flood watch for many areas throughout the DMV, also in towards Virginia. So we are expecting to see rainfall between 1 to 3 inches and locally up to 5. So just very saturated air mass right now. That watch goes until 2 a.m. So we have all of the ingredients to see the potential for some flash flooding. So just keep that in mind, especially if you're out on the road for anything. If you see a road that is covered in water, just turn around, don't drown. It only takes about 6 inches to sweep away, of moving water, to sweep away a mid-sized sedan. Then looking at tonight, we are expecting to see temperatures, again, very mild, sticking right in those low 70s, a few upper 60s, but still possible to hear a few rumbles of thunder as well as we still continue to see this very soggy setup sitting with us. So going into tomorrow, starting off the day on a drier note, temperatures quickly get back in towards those 80s, but then we'll see some of the rain chances yet again during that 1 to 4 p.m. time frame, could even linger a little in towards the evening time. So if you do have plans outside, make sure to plan accordingly. If you hear thunder roar, head indoors, and let's just really put it out there to show exactly who can see it. And what I mean by if you see rain, you'll really see it, and if you don't, you don't. Look at just about Friday afternoon. We'll start to see some of those reds really develop, but by the time we get towards the evening time frame, it starts to become a little bit more widespread, a little less intense, except for a few spots where it's usually those yellows, oranges, and reds. So the brighter the colors, the heavier the rain is usually what you expect on radar. Going into Saturday, we'll start to see the same setup once again. Right around 4:30, we start to see the rain intensity picking on up. Then it slides on out by about the overnight hours, starting to calm down, dry on out. But then again on Father's Day, rinse and repeat. This is unfortunately the kind of weekend that we're dealing with. The good thing is, though, we do get some breaks in the rain, so not everything is going to be a complete washout. But then starting off our Monday morning as well, still going to see a soggier day. So luckily, temperatures start to drop back down towards those mid-80s and then even upper 70s to start off the work week. But don't hold your breath. we aren't exactly going to stay on the cooler side because as we see the 7-day unfold, we are going to have temperatures quickly getting back in towards those mid-80s by the time we get towards the midweek, and then another round of the 90s heading in towards Thursday, where we're expected to still see the chance of some afternoon thunderstorms possible for not only just the midweek, but also throughout parts of going in towards the weekend. It is going to be one of those summery setups where we're seeing thunderstorms, high heat, humidity. But what else is summer in the DMV?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Right?
And it's called soupy and it's called wet in this case, and hot.
Yeah.
Caesar with all things weather, joining us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate you, my friend. Guys, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app. That way you can take Caesar and your weather with you on the go. And we start the show off with the Fox 5 News Alert. President Trump now urging Iran to reach a nuclear deal with the U.S. and warning attacks will, quote, only get worse. This comes after Israel launched airstrikes against Iran overnight, targeting the country's nuclear facilities. The strikes now raising concerns of a potential all-out war between two nations. Both Israel and Iran have closed their airspace amid that attack. Jordan now caught in the middle. The country says its Air Force is intercepting missiles and drones in its airspace. The U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem telling American workers and their families to, quote, shelter in place. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Scott Feltman, Executive Vice President of One Israel Fund, back here on the Live Zone. Scott, always good to see you, sir.
It's great to be back. How are you?
I'm good. I would argue that, well, quite honestly, things are very different over in Israel right now. Let's start with why. That's what the question has been posed time and time again by so many here. Why Israel attack Iran and, in essence, start an all-out war?
Yeah, especially when you start to understand that this has been planned for not months, but years. Obviously, Israel had credible intelligence that they felt that Iran was about to cross a point where there was no return on their way to creating nuclear weapons. According to the prime minister, they were going to basically have enough to start with 9 to 12 nuclear warheads, and we know that those are going to be targeted and headed. So Israel, it's not like they've never had a preemptive strike in their history. They've done it quite a number of times to very effective outcomes in '67, in Iraq, in Syria, and now in Iran.
So with that being said, Scott, obviously Iran has not yet responded, at least to my knowledge. I would argue mainly because during its opening blow, Israel, dear God, they took out senior leadership left and right. And as a result, Iran now trying to put the pieces back together, figure it out. They will likely figure it out sometime in the near future and then strike. Would you agree?
Well, they did send, I think it was about 100 drones that they tried to send into Israel territory. Israel was able to remove most of them with some of their neighboring, with their neighbors. But yeah, I mean, the last time it took Iran, I think, 12 days to respond after Israel took out one of their leaders in Damascus. And then after Hassan Nasrallah was killed in Lebanon, they responded, I think it was like 3-4 days later. So Iran definitely, doesn't respond instantly, at least in the recent past. And Israel is bracing for it. But yeah, I mean, Israel's intelligence was incredible in this. They took out many of the leaders in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, nuclear scientists, and also much of the defense systems that Iran had, and continue to do so. I mean, there's been additional attacks today as well, and this is going to go on for a few days.
So no matter the response from Iran, one thing's for sure, it's not going to be nuclear. And with that being said, I would argue for you, it makes it easier to sleep at night, does it not?
Absolutely. I heard last night Congressman Brian Mast from Florida said, the one difference now is it won't be a megaton bomb. It'll be, 1,000 pounds or so at most. And instead of killing millions, it may, and again, we're not minimizing any lives, but it may take out, a few hundred. Now that's a huge difference in the future of the nation state of Israel. I would actually posit that it's very possible that Israel has shown that it's been successful in taking out incoming projectiles from Yemen, from Iran, from Hamas and Hezbollah, and hopefully they'll continue to do so.
We know this afternoon that the UK, France, and Germany now calling for a diplomatic resolution to the Iran-Israel tensions. Yet again, the question is, will that actually happen now?
Well, I mean, President Trump came out with a pretty strong statement, and Israel's going to do what it needs to do to protect its own citizenry. Whatever the nations of Europe and around the world are going to come out and say, that's not going to stop. And I think Prime Minister Netanyahu has now proven it without a shadow of a doubt. He's going to do what it takes to protect his own people. We have a policy here of America first. I think Prime Minister Netanyahu stood proud and strong for an Israel first policy.
Overnight, Scott, we saw droves of Israelis making their way to the grocery store in order to stock up on food. You heard me make mention that over at the embassy in Jerusalem, officials have advised American citizens to shelter in place. I'm hoping you can describe what it is to be there. I can only imagine, walking out of this door here at the TV station only to fear that, well, dear God, I could lose my life to a drone.
Yeah, well, let's also keep in mind, I'm in New York, but I was on the phone last night with my son who's in Jerusalem. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, he and a couple of his friends were headed to a bomb shelter while the sirens were blaring. The sirens are very jarring. Israel's been dealing with sirens for decades now, and they know what it means. Every time Hamas and Hezbollah sent up a rocket or a missile or a mortar, and there have been tens of thousands of them over the past 25 or so years. Everybody knows what that means, and the entire country was under a siren warning last night, even though there was no credible evidence that there was any incoming projectiles sent to Israel. They knew that they had to protect their the country, and it's very jarring. It's very, very, especially when you have little kids or elderly and they have to make their way to a shelter. It's a trying time. But Israelis are strong, and they have total faith in the army to do what needs to be done. And my God, it was breathtaking last night to hear all of the different nuances to this operation.
To your point, Scott, yet again, you are a father. You just made mention of your son being in Israel and yet again heading to a bomb shelter. What is that for you as a dad? What's the everyday routine, if you will, with your son? Do you reach out? Do you all check in? If you miss a call, are you worried? How is that working for you?
Yeah, no, it's very hard, and I have staff over there as well, and they're like family to me as well. It's hard. It's difficult. I mean, you raise your children to be strong and proud and independent, but at the same time, you're worried about them every day, and they're 6,000 miles away, and phone service is tricky sometimes. But I'm proud of him. He wants to be there. He wants to be a part of this, and he's been there now for past 4 or 5 years. So he's been there through a lot, and he wants to be there and be with his people, and I support that wholeheartedly. But for us back here, it's trying, and we pray every day, and we do check in every day. But it is what it is right now. But he's safe, and he's in Jerusalem, which is a pretty secure area, and whatever. We'll see how things progress from here.
Yeah, Godspeed, as we like to say. We'll end with this, and that is, we can speculate that the price of oil will likely surge. As a matter of fact, it has as of today. The largest single-day increase in years, reflecting fears that a wider conflict in the Middle East could lead to serious energy supply disruptions. You think that's going to happen?
So in the short term, it's very possible. I mean, we already saw it today. But I think that we have to also realize that at the end of the day, I think that if this is all successful, that Iran is going to be a more stable country in the Middle East, whether it's through regime change or just bringing them to their knees where they give up on their nuclear program. Remember, Iran doesn't need nuclear energy. They have some of the cheapest energy in the world based on their oil and gas supply. So we know what their intentions are. And if we can remove that from the landscape, I think that the entire region will benefit from that. And hopefully you'll see that the prices not only will stabilize, but probably even come down further.
Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. Scott Feltman, Executive Vice President of One Israel Fund, kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate your time, sir.
Guy, it's always a pleasure. Have a wonderful weekend.
You do the same. Well, back here at home, President Trump was told to turn the National Guard control over to California Governor Gavin Newsom. They were initially called in to assist in immigration enforcement in controlling unrest. That order, which was supposed to take effect at noon, said the deployment of the Guard was illegal and both violated the 10th Amendment and exceeded Trump's statutory authority. I can tell you as of this moment, an appeals court has since paused that ruling. Joining us now to discuss this is Mr. John O'Connor. He is the author of Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, Covered Up Watergate, and Began Today's Partisan Advocacy Journalism. Sir, thank you so much for joining us on the Live Zone. So as you heard me make mention, an appeals court, in essence, has now paused the ruling. I'm hoping for those of us that are still trying to wrap our heads around with regard to what's going on, you can elaborate.
Yes, the president has power under the Militia Act of 1903 to call in the California or the state National Guard, federalize them, in other words, only in certain situations. But two of those situations is, one, a rebellion against the authority of the United States, or the inability or a danger of rebellion, or number two, an interference with the ability to execute the laws of the United States. So President Trump has argued that under either one of those two, or both, he can federalize the National Guard. That is to say, these protests amount to a rebellion against the authority of the United States to execute its immigration laws, or alternatively expressed, we cannot execute the laws as we wish because of this, and so therefore we need the National Guard. Now, the judge has written what I consider a brilliant kind of textbook opinion. It's just that it takes all the arguments, in my view, to an extreme, because the statute allows this decision to be made in the sole and exclusive discretion of the president. So the judge says, no, wait a second, yes, it's in your discretion, but wait a second, before we even get there, I'm the guy that determines whether there's a rebellion. I determine whether you're unable to execute the laws. It's not your decision, it's my decision. And I think a fair reading of the law would say it's the president's decision, and the court should jump in only if it's just absolutely crystal clear that he doesn't have discretion, he's just abused his discretion. So it's very much of a law school opinion that one can debate, and I think Judge Breyer's a brilliant guy. He's the brother of the Supreme Court Justice, so I have nothing but praise for his judicial abilities. This is just simply what I would say an interpretation of the law, because I don't think the judge likes what Trump did and doesn't think it's necessary, and it's really sort of his view that this was unnecessary, so he's using this law to countermand him. I think it's a serious issue because the one thing the president should be able to do is control, as the commander-in-chief, is to control our armed forces, whether it's a state militia, the National Guard, that's I believe is paid for from federal funds, but and enforce the laws of the United States. If you go back to the Whiskey Rebellion and the Shays Rebellion at the time of the Constitution, those were rebellions against the tax collectors in Western New York and in Western Pennsylvania, because they made their own booze and there was a tax on booze. And so that's all it was. It wasn't a rebellion against anything else. And it's like this. This is a rebellion against enforcement of the immigration laws, much like Shays Rebellion and Whiskey Rebellion were rebellions against taxing authority on liquor excise taxes. So it's a very important decision. I'm happy that the appeals court has stayed it, because I think it needs more than one judge looking at this. I think it needs a number of judges that are going to look at this and have a healthy democratic debate as to whether this falls within the executive branch's authority. This is a very much of an issue of separation of powers. To what extent can the judiciary invade the president's lawful discretion. And it's not clear. You're in a gray area, and it's not
Sure.
clear. I will say that for Judge Breyer.
Mr. O'Connor, I got about a minute left, and you were so kind to join us. Obviously, yet again, you were the author of Postgate, How the Washington Post Betrayed Deep Throat, covered up Watergate, and began today's partisan advocacy journalism. Folks that want to get their hands on your book, how would one go about to do so? And very briefly, tell us what we should expect should we have the opportunity to read it.
If your audience goes to postgatebook.com, you'll see several of my books, including Postgate, and it gets right to the nub of how the media has now gotten over its skis into being a political power, a political force that's partisan, all as a result of Watergate and what it did in Watergate and getting rid of a duly elected president. It's still going on today, and we know that, we see that, and thank God for media like yours, which are now competing with some of the legacy, national legacy media.
Very good, sir. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. John O'Connor, kind enough to join us on the Live Zone. Make it a great weekend, sir.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Did you hear? You see, IGE is proudly hosting T. Renee Garner Productions for a special performance of The Man Monster Musical, a highlight of IGE's inspiring event, Lights, Laughs, and Love. All of the proceeds go to Inspiring Generations Enterprise Charity. Now, this heartwarming gospel comedy blends music, laughter, and powerful storytelling to shine a light on hope, community, and transformation. Joining us now to discuss this is, oh my gosh, they're finally here, guys. Yes, I'm referring to none other than Dr. T. Renee Garner and Isaac Garner, both of which are joining me right here on the Live Zone. What's up, guys? Let's do a high five. I'm loving the energy. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
I got to tell you, I am so proud of what you have been able to do. To think that you all put this together, that it's in essence going on the road, and I mean, it's just so cool. How did this come to be?
Well, it's amazing. It initially started in 2018. I was just writing, journaling. I have a book called Conquer the Man Monster now that you can grab on Amazon. And as a result of that, the play became out of the book. So all the characters matched the book.
Yeah.
And then we just started running the play every year.
Oh my gosh.
And now we're running it every 2 months, it seems like.
Yeah.
And so we're out in Anne Arundel County, and the play is an amazing part of the book iteration, but just real life form of storytelling, how to heal, how to understand red flags, and it just came about. Isaac was just 3 years old.
Oh my gosh.
When the play started, just 3.
You know what, Isaac? I'm so jelly of you. My niece said, "Guy, say jelly, not jealous." I was told that's a cool word. Tell me later if it's not. But I'm so jelly of you because every day you get a chance to work with your mom. How cool is that?
It's pretty fun. Well, it's like amazing because you get to experience something that some people don't. Like if your mom's in a production and you're like the son, but they're not really the director or the producer.
Sure.
It's not really. You're happy for them, but to be in a play with your mom, it's super fun and cool.
How cool is that? You have mom back there blushing. Huh? Yeah, you did well. So for folks that are hearing about this, and dear God, shame on you if that's the case, tell me a little bit about the play. What's the plot? What's it all about?
Well, bottom line up front is a true love story about domestic violence survival. And domestic violence is a thing that everybody knows, speak, and hear about. Sometimes they have it immediately in their family. It happens in a beauty salon. So we took the theme of having a beauty salon impact and talking about domestic violence and have sisterhood, brotherhood. Everybody is there. We have great cast. It's for your LGBT community, your black community, your white community. It's for everyone. The Man Monster musical has touched many homes, and our musical just bring a conversation more helpful and palatable at home for the dinner table for the young and the old.
One of the cool things about going to a play is you get a chance to sit there, and I love watching the actors because I think to myself, they do this every day. They sing the same song or say the same line, if you will. And so with that being said, I'm curious for the both of you, what's your favorite part of the play? Isaac, we'll begin with you. What do you love most?
Probably the scene or acting scene 3 where I'm with someone, and if you guys come to the play, you'll figure it out. And we're running around messing up the salon and talking with 3D. If you've seen his videos, you'll know who he is. And we're running around, and he tells us to stop doing that. Then we go back and we play rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and then we have to clean up.
So let me ask you, when you play rock, paper, scissors, do you really know what you're going to do? All right, don't tell me, because I want to see it. Don't tell me. Mom, what about you?
I think for me, it's just overall, my favorite part is when Renee is a character.
Sure.
Okay, and I am Renee. So Renee just finds her voice with her sisters and they sing. We have original music. So there's a part in there where, it's called Refuge. And all the women and all the sisters get up and sing original piece by us. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And the other part is the kids when they talk about what love is. It's so much of a blessing for the younger generation to realize what love is and what love is not. And if you come to the play, you'll understand the Man Monster is not what you think. So come, it's fun, it's fantastic, it's energetic, it's loving, and the faith base is unimaginable.
Speaking of a blessing, that's exactly what this production, if you will, is doing, because a lot of the proceeds go towards helping folks that are experiencing domestic violence.
It does. There's several programs that we have, and one of them is our young youth, arts and sports. That's one area that we have for especially women that are going through domestic violence. They don't have any help. And one of the things that we found out is every time we run the play, there's someone always in the audience that says, hey, that's me, can you help me? That's me too. And Inspiring Generations was just basically created for that purpose, to help that particular person. What we realize is, 97% of people return back to their abusive situations because of lack of finances.
Wow.
So in addition to sports and arts, and basically production, teaching kids how to perform, journal, and heal, we help them with their sports for that particular family. We also have a financial renaissance classes that we host every month. And in those classes, you can come learn about budgeting, investing, what to do with your legacy. And it's just things that, you need to know to be empowered. So when she's ready, because it's up to her to be ready, when she's ready, she'll have the tools that will pull her forward. Inspiring Generations is aware, ready, and to transform. That's their art.
Absolutely love it. That is just so cool. All right, I'm sold. I mean, where do I get my tickets at, and how do folks that are watching as well get their tickets?
You want to say it together? You ready?
It's at
www.themanmonster.com. themanmonster.com.
Absolutely.
One more
love
time.
it.
Can we say it?
Yeah, please do.
themanmonster.com. See ya.
Like I said, you sold me one. Yet again, we've been speaking with Dr. T. Renee Garner and Isaac Garner, both of which kind enough to join me right here on the Live Zone. Isaac, you're going to take us out of this, okay? Say you're watching the Live Zone, and we'll be right back.
You're watching the Live Zone, and we'll be right back. See ya!
Great job. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Now the latest on the Sean Diddy Combs sex crimes trial. We know earlier today, a special agent who was part of the team that searched Diddy's Los Angeles home testified this morning about the March 2024 raid. And then there's Kanye West. Yes, Kanye West apparently making a cameo today at the courthouse. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mackenzie Joy Brennan, back here on the Live Zone. Always good to see you, Mackenzie. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. What a day. What a time to be alive.
I got to tell you, typically you are outside of the courthouse there in Manhattan. Today you have the honor of being at home, staying nice and cool. It's a little hot up there, but dear God, wouldn't it have been cool to see Kanye West?
What a day to miss. Bizarre. I haven't heard much from him since his track last month, which was called Heil Hitler. So I think he's been keeping a low profile. I don't know that Diddy, as a defendant, would necessarily want this public support, but it sounds like his legal team welcomed Kanye in. But I don't think he actually made it to the actual courtroom. He went into the overflow room for about 30 minutes and then had made his statement and came back out.
Yeah, I want you to talk about that because so I'm a little confused. Yet again, I have not served as a juror before, and so folks that happen to be in my shoes, and they also have not, I want you to speak to what the overflow room is. Is that where perhaps if you cannot get into the courtroom, you would very well may end up?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that doesn't exist for most trials. It's just for these really high profile ones where it's open to the public, but there's no way that one courtroom's audience space can hold the capacity of people trying to get in. But it really is, it's a bouillabaisse of people. It's fans who are really, I mean, I'd say most of it is fans and journalists, that there isn't a whole lot of representation from the state's side. It's a lot of people who are fans of Diddy in a case like this. And having been in there a couple times, it can be kind of raucous at times. There are a lot of reactions. Sometimes folks have to get kicked out because they bring in food or they make too big of a scene, or they're reacting in a way that's kind of aggressive. But yeah, that's the atmosphere in the overflow room. I imagine somebody like Kanye West probably did not want to sit among us regular folks for too long,
Mere
so that
mortals,
might be
huh?
why he made his way out pretty quickly.
Yeah. The way you described it, Mackenzie, it reminds me when I would cover the Commanders game and we would sit in the press box and you can have no reaction there. I mean, I'm a huge Commanders fan, so the Commanders would score. You cannot jump up. Yeah. You know, the Commanders scored, and you just keep a straight face. So I would envision the courtroom being like that. And then you go into the stands, and
Yes.
oh my gosh, everybody's screaming,
Yep.
yelling, having a great time. The way
Totally.
you described it, I think that's what the overflow room is all about.
This is the less restrained space to be in the courthouse, but you're still in the federal courthouse. And so, you know, the other day somebody was opening up a Red Bull and you're out. I don't even know how that got through security to begin with, but you can't do that in the federal
Better a
court,
Red Bull
so.
than a beer. So, all right, let's talk about
Yeah.
Diddy, the trial itself. A couple of things here, and just walk me through this. We know that the judge is considering, or at least one point today, considering to question a juror further following the prosecutor's request to dismiss. What's that all about?
Yeah, so that's kind of an interesting motion. It may be a whole lot of hubbub about nothing. It sounds like there was a motion from the prosecution to have this juror removed. I believe it was juror number 6, and if the numbering has been kept consistent from the beginning, it's a 41-year-old man. He's black. He said that he was from the Bronx, and it turned out today that we learned that the nature of his lack of candor, as the prosecution called it, had something to do with where he lived. So it's not as obviously prejudicial, and that's what the judge said, is that, you know, there might be a totally innocent explanation for this. We're not going to summarily remove this guy. But you could see, you know, what if this guy is from somewhere else and he came here to pretend to be from the Bronx because he really wanted to play a role in the trial? I don't know. Just thinking of scenarios where this might play a really prejudicial role. Who knows?
So
we'll see how the motion goes. Obviously, the judge did not remove him immediately, so
Yeah.
we'll stay tuned.
So what I'm confused about is, let's say he's from, I don't know, Iowa, and not really from the
Sure.
Bronx. As a result of that, one can call for a mistrial?
So I believe what the prosecution wanted to do was just remove him and have somebody substituted in. Usually they'll have a whole bunch of backup jurors, not a whole bunch, but, you know, a couple approved folks who can sub in, who have been watching the trial, who have been approved by both sides, kind of on standby, ready to step in. And it really comes down to being candid when you're filling out those initial questionnaires, when you're disclosing things that may be prejudicial. And once somebody isn't candid, then everything goes out the window, because you don't know what else they're not being candid about. You don't know why they're lying. So it wouldn't necessarily be grounds for a mistrial, but it might be grounds for removal of a juror, or at least an explanation to the judge. And that sounds like that's where this judge would like to start. And we'll go from there.
All right. Well, the other big story prior to me hopping on air that I saw, I got an alert about it, is that apparently today Diddy was nodding his head during testimony, and the prosecution said, "Hold up, wait a minute, let's stop, Judge. Look, he's nodding his head," to which perhaps
He's
that
at it
could
again.
sway the jury. What's the latest on that?
Yeah, he's been reprimanded a couple times, either by the prosecution making motions to the judge or by the judge himself at one point, for being too expressive and too, most notably, interactive with the jury or the witnesses. In Jane's testimony, which was like a marathon 6 days, he was staring her down, which obviously that's allowed because she's, you know, confrontation clause. You're allowed to look at the witness. That's the whole point. But it could be intimidating. At points, he was actually potentially emotional yesterday. He was dabbing his eyes with a tissue, but he also blew his nose, so he may have been sick. But the point is, once a defendant starts interacting with the jury in particular, it can be seen as influencing, or attempting to influence. And especially when it's things like the nodding, you know, affirmations of testimony or denials. He's also been shaking his head. There have been pseudo-aggressive expressions that he's made, like kind of furrowing his brow and shaking his head. And that can be really impactful for a jury. Ironically, usually you don't want a defendant who's too expressive. They say basically, like, sit there and look not guilty, whatever that means.
Yeah.
But that juries don't really love an expressive defendant, regardless of which side, even if it's emotional in response to the testimony. So it really wouldn't help him anyways, but it also isn't allowed. So we'll see. The judge threatened to remove him last time he did it. We'll see if anything escalates.
All right, I got about a minute left. Anything else we should be
Sure.
made aware of? Any something happened in the
Well,
courtroom, or?
I think that the prosecution's wrapping up their case. They keep adding witnesses, but it sounds like after Jane's marathon, we have, maybe two more folks to hear from. I think one thing that we'll discuss as the defense's case moves forward is this argument that it's a private kink. And, you know, if your private kink entails what Jane was describing, which is, anything other than a consenting partner, then your private kink can still be a federal crime. So it'll be interesting to see that argument develop and what the defense does to bolster the idea that this is just something that you're allowed to do in private when what you're doing in private may break the law. I mean, we heard from the special agent that there are rifles in the house, that there are automatic weapons, that there are these green tip ammunition bullets that are meant to pierce body armor. And so, like we've talked about before, you pair that with pressure to engage in sex acts, consent becomes really questionable. So we'll see how the defense handles that, and we'll see how the prosecution wraps up their case.
Truly a fascinating case right before us, unfolding right before us. So yet again, we've been speaking with Mackenzie Joy Brennan. Well, you do it oh so well, covering all things surrounding the Sean P. Diddy Combs sex crimes trial. Make it a great weekend, Mackenzie.
Thank you so much. Have a good one.
You're welcome. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. Hey, on the flip side of that break, producer Chris joins us with What to Watch. That's coming up next, right here on the Live Zone. All right, guys, back here on a Feel Good Friday, joined now with producer Chris for my favorite segment of the week, What to Watch.
I'm going to try to lower those expectations
Okay.
a little, only because it's kind of an in-between week. We've got some big stuff coming up down the pike, but it's a holiday weekend,
Yeah.
so I figured I would start off with something perfect for Father's Day.
Okay.
And we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. And this one's a little effed up, if you'll excuse my language, because this is season 2 of FUBAR. And if you know what FUBAR stands for, you understand why I made that joke, that reference, if you will. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger, like I said. If you saw the first season, if you missed the first season, he basically plays a retired special operative in the CIA who gets recruited back in, discovers that his daughter is also a secret agent in the CIA. They end up working together to save the world. He's back for season 2, like I said, but this time we're adding a familiar face from his past, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, who you know and love from The Matrix, plays a former lover and an East German spy. I'm getting major Total Recall vibes.
Really?
Or not Total Recall, I'm sorry, True Lies vibes
okay.
from this one, if you remember that movie. And partially because Tom Arnold is also a guest star in this series, and you remember them working together. All 8 episodes of this one are out now. This is Arnold's first starring role in a TV series. So kind of a huge deal when you think about it, because he is still one of the biggest action stars
by far.
in the world.
How old is he now?
He's in his 70s,
Wow.
I believe.
Jeez.
I know, still going strong. He's had heart surgery, all kinds of things, and he's still kicking butt. So you can catch that one on Netflix now. Fubar, season 2. I missed the first season. I do actually want to watch this, though.
I haven't
because
seen it
it's
either.
right up my alley, to be honest with you. It also, his daughter is played by Monica Barbaro, who you may remember. She was in the Timothy Chalamet, Bob Dylan movie.
Yep.
She played Joan Baez. So her star just keeps rising as well. So that's the only new TV series out this week. That's why I said it was kind of an off week. But we do have 2 new movies, and they're both pretty star-studded. We're going to start off with Echo Valley. We're going from Father's Day to what I am calling a very messy mother-daughter drama. Sydney Sweeney, they do not come much hotter in Hollywood than her right now, and I'm not even talking about looks. I am just talking about her star bigger than ever. You know her from Euphoria and a million other things like The White Lotus. Now she's starring alongside Julianne Moore in this new, I'm gonna call it kind of a murder mystery as well. Except they give away a lot in the trailer in terms of what we're talking about. She shows up at her mom's house. Her mom, quiet life on a horse farm. She shows up in tears, covered in blood, says she got into a fight with her boyfriend, hit him with a rock, and the body's in the car. So the mom, to protect her daughter, steps up, does what she thinks she needs to do, and you can kind of tune in and see what happens after that. This one, a movie, like I said, streaming on Apple TV Plus now. I mean, Julianne Moore.
Yeah.
She never misses.
Yeah,
So,
I could pretty much guess what the mom is going to do, at least I think. So I'd like to check that out.
tune in and see. All right, we've got another new movie. This one, more of a caper, if you will, a comedic caper. This is Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and Nick Mohammed. You know Nick from Ted Lasso. He played the ball boy turned coach, assistant coach. So this is called Deep Cover. Bryce Dallas Howard is an improv coach and a wannabe stand-up comedian and actress. She gets recruited by a detective to go undercover as an improv actor to kind of infiltrate London's gang underworld. So she recruits 2 of her actor improv friends, and they have to, as they say in the trailer, yes and their way into this criminal, seedy underworld.
Okay.
It's getting some pretty good reviews so far. Like I said, this one on Prime Video, another movie streaming now. Deep Cover. Sean Bean plays the detective who recruits them. I love Sean Bean. He is in, you probably know him best from the first season of Game of Thrones. He was the original. Yes, but there is a running joke about Sean Bean and dying in absolutely every single thing that he's in. There was like a huge internet campaign one time to let Sean Bean live. I haven't seen this one yet, so I can't say what happens to him in it, but you can check it out now. We also have a couple new documentaries out right now on Netflix. Right now we've got Titan. This is the Ocean Gate disaster, and it tells the story of that ill-fated voyage to the Titanic in what can only be described as not the safest conditions. This was a huge viral story on the internet when it happened. This tells the story about what went wrong through audio recordings, whistleblowers, and actual footage from inside that submersible. We also have Trainwreck, the Astroworld tragedy. This tells the story of that ill-fated Travis Scott concert that left 10 people dead in a crowd crush. This is told through the point of view of survivors, security guards, and other people involved in that concert. That one's also on Netflix. Hulu has Call Her Alex. This is a documentary, a 2-part documentary about Alex Cooper. She is the pioneering podcaster behind Call Her Daddy. And this kind of tells the story of her preparing to take the show on the road for the first time. And then last but not least, in case you missed it in theaters, and I think a lot of people probably did, despite the fact that it got good reviews, we have the controversial live-action remake of Snow White, making its streaming premiere on Disney Plus. Like I said, it did get good reviews, but all of the negative attention surrounding the entire drama between the two lead stars, some of the backlash that it got when it was first announced with the storyline involving the Seven Dwarfs, definitely overshadowed everything. Rachel Ziegler taking over the lead role in this one. Gal Gadot plays her nemesis, streaming now on Disney+.
How can a Disney film be controversial? Oh, gosh,
you know,
people.
it's really interesting to me. They made this decision, we're going back over a decade at this point, to kind of reintroduce some of their classics to a new audience. You know, people our age who grew up on some of these Disney Renaissance movies, now they're remaking them so that they can kind of take their kids and they're going a different direction with them. However, those movies were made at a time and a place, and some of the themes, some of the elements, some of the things in them are a little harder to translate these days. However, they've made the decision to keep going with these, and in the process, they have made changes that have upset fans of the originals while courting all of this new attention. They get accused of going woke, etc. And it just, I don't know whether, you know, Lilo and Stitch was the most recent one.
Yeah.
It did phenomenal at the box office in its opening weekend. They have more coming out. But every single time they seem to court this fine line between excitement and major blowback.
Wow.
And this one was definitely, it was one of the most expensive movies they've ever made, and it bombed at the box office.
I'll check it out. I'll let you know. Hey, by the way, I finished the series Mobland.
Oh, yeah.
Have you started it yet?
I haven't.
Oh, gosh.
I just started Stick, which is no surprise, the golf one with Owen Wilson.
Yep.
I am enjoying it very much so far, in part because each episode, right around 30 minutes, and that is my sweet spot.
Producer Chris with What to Watch right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate you.
Thank you.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Happy Friday.
All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Did you know that every year, hundreds of women, especially black women, die from preventable pregnancy-related complications? Engaging fathers as informed, prepared, and empowered advocates has proven to improve mental health outcomes. That's where this next organization comes into play. I'm referring to For Kyra for Dads, a first-of-its-kind program that centers men and fathers in the maternal health conversation, providing resources, education, and support to empower them as advocates. Recently, they had an opportunity to lobby on Capitol Hill. Joining us to discuss that is the founder, Mr. Charles Johnson, and Guy Lambert, both of which are kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. Guys, welcome to the show. I got to tell you, this is Yeah, but of course. So first and foremost, congratulations on all your success. This is definitely something that we need to bring more awareness to. You heard me make mention that you all were lobbying on Capitol Hill for the past couple of days, and so I'm hoping you could bring us up to speed with regard to what was discussed and what you were able to get across.
No, absolutely. Thanks for having us. This was an absolutely monumental week on Capitol Hill, and so a core part of what we do at For a Cure for Moms is lobby in support of legislation that will make our country a better, safer place for mothers and babies. What was unique and very special about this week is we curated an amazing group of fathers from all over the country that completely stopped their busy schedules to travel to Washington, D.C., to share their stories, to share their work they're doing in support of critical legislation to make our country a better, safer place for mothers and babies. So it was amazing. As you see here, we have a picture of some of these men. And it was really, really, really phenomenal to have an opportunity to allow these guys to connect with senators and congressional representatives and share their stories.
Charles, one of the things I'm a stickler about before you start, Gabby, is making sure I get it right. Did I mispronounce the name of the organization? Can you repeat that, please?
Absolutely. For Cure for Moms.
Very good, sir. I did mispronounce. I stand corrected. So thank you so much for doing that. Gabby, you wanted to add?
Thank you for making the adjustment. We appreciate it.
Yes. And so when you think about the topics that our dadvocates is what we coined them, we're talking this week. We were bringing direct to maternal health. And specifically, the three pieces of legislation that we were really, really pressing this week were the reintroduction of the Momnibus and the reintroduction of the Dads Matter Act, which will happen later on this month. But specifically, which was going on in the country right now is this big, beautiful bill. And the reality is it's not really a tax bill. It is actually a healthcare bill, and it's an attack on maternal health. Quite frankly, when we think about the fact that this country wants to have nuclear families, we want to have more mothers, we want to have more babies, you have to have a mother be able to have a healthy and a safe birth. And the current big, beautiful bill is set to cause major damage to Medicaid and to SNAP. The funding that will go from those will cause irreparable harm into our healthcare system, because when you take over 7 million Medicaid recipients out, you're going to take away 30% of funding. That means hospital closures. If you take 30% of funding from private hospitals and from main hospitals, you're looking at potential hospital closures, and that's going to exacerbate what we're already seeing as maternal health care deserts in rural areas, but you're going to see that in urban areas, which is also then going to potentially impact what can happen to our doctors and our perinatal workforce. And so that's where we came together to say, this bill is not something that should pass in its form. If we really want to help mothers, the health of mothers in our nation, that's what they say, how a nation is if they're doing well in success, we're not taking care of our mothers. If we take away the funding that we currently have and over 700 mothers are dying each year, all you're going to do is increase that number.
Charles, this obviously is near and dear to your heart. I'm hoping you could share with us your story as to why you are so passionate about this.
No, absolutely. So this is a path that I never saw my life take. And we actually founded this organization after my wife, Kira, passed away from what were very, very preventable circumstances and complications after the birth of our second son in 2016. And what I didn't understand at the time is that right here in the United States, and a lot of Americans aren't aware that the United States is actually the most dangerous country dangerous industrialized country in the world for a mother to give birth in. And if we look even closer, what's really troubling and even more troubling is that African American women are dying 4 times as often as Caucasian women. And so I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how I could make an impact, but I felt like I had to do something. So we formed this organization with one very clear, distinct goal, and that is to eradicate the maternal mortality crisis in the United States, period, full stop. My hope is, although there's nothing I can do to bring my wife back, that by doing everything we can to make other mothers have the opportunity to go home with their babies, that'll be a legacy that she would be proud of.
As we proceed to wrap up, Gabby, I'm hoping you could share with us what we can do, myself included, folks that are watching right now.
Yes.
How can we bring more awareness to this?
Bring more awareness. One, we believe that maternal health is a fundamental human right. It is not a women's issue. The fact of the matter is, there's only 2 types of people in this world. Either you are a mom or you have a mom. So it's everybody's business. And with that, call your senators, call your congressmen, specifically senators right now, and demand that the big, beautiful bill does not get passed. Do not strip Medicaid and SNAP and the child tax credits. Those are things that are needed to make sure that maternal health is funded in this country, and also to support your local CBOs like ourselves, the March of Dimes, and other organizations who are fundamentally on the grounds doing this work.
Yet again, we have been speaking with Guy Lambert and Charles Johnson, both of which are with For Cura for Dads. Truly appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Happy Father's Day.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. Back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone, Israel launched an unprecedented strike on Iran, targeting its nuclear program and military leaders in an attack that the Prime Minister said will last many days. Meanwhile, back here at home, a federal judge has now blocked Trump's executive order that requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote and limits mail-in ballots. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Armin Kurdigan, U.S. Navy captain retired, political strategist, and now California State Senate candidate. Mr. Kurdigan, always good to see you, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Guy. Thanks for having me again.
All right, so let's start with what happened in Iran earlier today or overnight. Although the attack took place thousands of miles away, it's no secret we Americans will likely feel the effects right here in the very near future.
So Israel has again surprised the rest of the world with something almost akin to what they did in 1967 when they took out the Egyptian and Syrian air forces in the first day of the Six-Day War. I think Americans shouldn't necessarily be worried about a terror attack on the homeland, but as we saw, oil prices spiked and you might see gas prices go up a little bit, but I think that is more of an emotional hit. I think those are basically going to come down. I don't know that the American citizens are going to see any direct impact from this, although if Iran does strike back against U.S. Interests in the Middle East, whether it's through their proxies, which it probably would be, against our embassies or military personnel, other government personnel, or perhaps some kinds of kidnappings, that's entirely possible. And I think that the U.S. had some inkling that this was going to be going on, and that's why they had U.S. Personnel kind of withdraw. And right now they are under a shelter-in-place order throughout the Middle East.
Mr. Kurdigan, it's no secret, following the attack, the president then took to social media to state that this is good for the market. However, if you take a look right now at the market, the stock market, it's completely the opposite. What's going to happen here?
I think, again, this is going to be very, very temporary, and this really has nothing to do with political bias. You see this kind of thing happen a lot. A lot of this has to do with very short-term traders, day traders, people who are trading on margin and working on the order of minutes instead of days and weeks. So eventually, this impact is going to go away, and it's really going to depend as we see the true final impact and what happened. A complete accounting in a few days, as you know, a lot of times the initial reporting in these kinds of attacks can be either a little bit optimistic or maybe not so accurate. It's really going to depend to see how much of Iran's nuclear capability has been gone. If truly their nuclear capacity or their capacity to build a nuclear weapon really has been seriously damaged or pulled away, the whole world is going to look at that as a very, very positive impact. And that, I think, would be a very positive sign for the stock market going forward.
Back here at home, we now know that a federal judge has blocked Trump's executive order that requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote and limits mail-in ballots. But wait, there's more. We also know that non-citizens are already prohibited from voting in federal elections. But opponents of that executive order argue that requiring proof of citizenship will, in essence, will stop people from registering. What do you say about that, sir?
There's a few things going on here. First of all, you've seen a lot of local and even state governments that have been pushing to allow non-citizens the right to vote, which is anathema to our constitutional republic. It's why people strive to become a citizen in order to have that right to vote. Now, whereas we don't necessarily see perhaps millions of illegal people voting, it does happen, whether it's intentional or by accident, of folks going and voting without clear indications that they are a U.S. citizen. I'm not necessarily surprised by the court's ruling, but I think ultimately, if this goes down the path of some legislation, I see that as potentially going forward in some way, shape, or form. Here in the state of California, the state passed a law that basically forcibly mails out a ballot to every single registered voter in the state, whether or not you actually ask for one, which means that hundreds of thousands of these things go to wrong addresses. And that is a very, very dangerous aspect that we've been trying to fight here in the state. It is really kind of anti-democratic if you want to look at it when you start receiving ballots that belong to somebody else. And the only way that that could possibly be stopped from being used is if 3 people agree that that's not your actual signature. So I personally like the mail-in ballot, but I want to go and request it myself and put it back into a drop box, and I think maybe that can continue. But when you just start sending out mail-in ballots willy-nilly to everybody, there's a big risk of fraud there.
Yeah, speaking of immigration, we know that Americans are not yet sure what to make of Trump's immigration crackdown. According to a newly released study, it's still too early for most Americans to vote yay or nay with regard to Trump's actions. What do you think? How do you think it's going to sway eventually?
I think the folks in the middle are going to be very happy with what Trump has been doing. They just want to live their lives. They want to live them safely. They want criminals out of their neighborhoods. They want criminals out of their states, and they want criminals out of this country. A lot of the folks on the far left are decrying this. They're trying to gaslight the American public, saying one thing when the evidence is clearly different. How many thousands or tens of thousands of hardened criminals have already been arrested by ICE and removed from this country, making folks safer? We're talking about sex traffickers. We're talking about people, who have child pornography, rapists, attempted rapists, murderers. All these kinds of folks are being removed and taken away. And the fact that you see a lot of Democrats, especially in this state, who are decrying that and decrying ICE in their tactics is really not going to go over well. And while it might make for good media, I see a lot of the mainstream media actually pushing that. It's not working on the general populace. The folks there in the middle who just want to live happy, safe lives and put food on their kitchen table want safe lives. So ultimately, this is going to backfire on the Democrats, and I think that this is something that's going to go forward. And ultimately, Trump is going to get some big kudos for what he's doing to cleaning up our neighborhoods.
Well, speaking of Trump, we'll end with this, Armin, and that is, by now, folks probably know that the president and, well, the richest man on the planet, Mr. Elon Musk, have officially kissed and made up. However, well, a lot of not so nice things were said between both of them. The question is, do you think they'll ever get that relationship back to the way it used to be?
It's funny. I heard a few folks saying that this entire thing was manufactured for no other reason than to gaslight the Democrats. And then perhaps, in a few weeks, we'll see them back together, happy-go-lucky, everything's great. And then you'll see folks decrying the relationship again. I think the relationship is going to be fine. maybe a little bit of a hiccup there, but ultimately, I think everything is going to be great. Musk, regardless of what people might think, the Democratic Party basically left him. He was a Democrat for a very long time, and he decided that they've just completely left, as so many others have throughout the country, just regular citizens and elected leaders. We've seen a complete shift in voter demographics here in this state, with Democrats losing ground and Republicans gaining ground. Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going to continue to maintain a very strong relationship going forward.
All right, there you have it. Yet again, Mr. Armin Kurtigan, which, by the way, little birdie whispered in my ear, you're going to be joining us tomorrow, as yet again we cover all things with regard to the military parade taking place right here in the nation's capital. Looking forward to having that conversation with you as well, sir.
Great, Guy. Thanks. Have a great rest of your day.
Very good. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So my next guest is all about giving back in a major way. That's because her organization, dubbed the College Girl Foundation, is a 501c3 nonprofit organization committed to empowering underserved youth based right here in the D.C. area. Now they're getting set for their annual College Girl Foundation Scholarship Luncheon. Joining us to tell us all about it is the founder and CEO of the College Girl Foundation, none other than Jessica Brown, which she also happens to be my friend. Hey, friend.
Hey, Guy.
Good to see you. I got to tell you, we bumped into each other the other day. You were doing another segment right here on Fox 5, and I said, I got to have you come on the show to tell us all about the upcoming scholarship luncheon. Before we get into that, Jessica, I want folks to understand what exactly it is that you do on a daily basis, and that is the College Girl Foundation. Do tell.
So the College Girl Foundation provides a world of opportunity for Washington metropolitan area youth ages 9 through 24 to dream bigger than their zip code to become the next future leaders of tomorrow. We run monthly educational programs, college tours, we provide scholarships, we make sure we support their families, and we are a lifelong mentoring program. So if you are ever in my program, I'm mentoring you for the rest of your life.
We're stuck with you, which is actually a very good thing. Hey, Jessica, one of the things that you and I discussed before is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I can recall, you take students to a number of colleges, let's say high school students, so they can actually experience it. They can actually, it becomes tangible, if you will. They can walk through the campus. They can meet potential fellow colleagues that they will end up going to school with. I got to tell you, I remember when I had the opportunity to do that, it changed my life. And I would think that you have seen the same thing dealing with these kids that perhaps were teetering on the fence as to whether or not they wanted to go to college.
Yes, I have been able to change so many young mindsets about college and what it is. You know, having the experience, like you said, to go on a college tour and put your feet on the ground and see what your potential future can be and know that you are this close to it. It's just you need that little push. Our annual college tours, we have a customized motor coach with all of our kids' beautiful faces wrapped around the bus from here to Atlanta, Tennessee, wherever we go. We are always representing the DMV area, as well as making sure we expose them. Exposure is so important. It allows students to see what their potential can be and how far they can go, and also build a sense of network and a family, because the College Girl Foundation is a family, and that is very important to me. Each one teach one. We're all working towards the common goal to make sure we reach our dreams.
Yeah, but wait, there's more. That's because you all also focus on entrepreneurship and financial literacy.
Yes, so every month we teach different programs, especially with DC government, the Department of Employment Services, as well as Parks and Recreation. We do Rec for All. We provide programs specifically for DC residents, exposing them to work readiness, exposing them to financial literacy, actually even allowing some of our participants to gain professional certifications to make sure that they are able to secure their first real career, not a job.
Yeah. Okay, so now that you said that, let's get set for the upcoming scholarship luncheon. Do tell.
Yeah, so I'm here right now in the green room at the Hamilton as my staff is packing gift bags for tomorrow. Tomorrow we have our annual scholarship luncheon. I'm encouraging everyone, even if you cannot come, to please donate. The Future Band DC is our entertainment. It's going to be such a joyous event celebrating our graduating seniors, and our graduating senior class have maintained a 3.7 GPA collectively. They are all 100% college bound, majority of them all on full rides and scholarships. We need you all support to make sure that we can continue our life-changing program for these students and allowing them to see what excellence is. So please come out and support us tomorrow. Tickets are still available on Eventbrite. You can access them through our Instagram page as well as our website. This is going to be such an exciting event, and I hope to see you all tomorrow.
Yeah, I had the opportunity. What was it that I hosted, Jessica, years ago? What was it? Was during
So every December we do an ugly sweater fundraiser.
That's what it was.
And that allows us to raise funds for the scholarship luncheon as well as our monthly educational programs. And Guy has always been super supportive of my mission, of how we're changing kids' lives. And Guy, I cannot thank you enough for always making sure that you come through for the Washington metropolitan area.
Well, I truly appreciate that, but I brought that up because I wanted folks to understand that it is really a party. I mean, you do amazing events. I love it because it's educational, you're giving back, but don't get it twisted, as the young kids say. I mean, it's really a good time. You got to be proud of that.
I'm trying to tell you, so you guys better go on ahead and get on Eventbrite and get your tickets. Tomorrow is going to be, we'll be laughing, we'll be crying, but more importantly, we will be partying and celebrating the College Girl Foundation.
Absolutely love it. Yet again, we have been speaking with the founder and CEO of the College Girl Foundation, my friend yet again, Jessica Brown. Always good to see you, Jessica.
Always good to see you, and thank you all so much, and I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow.
You got it. All right, guys, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone on a feel-good finally Friday.
Oh, yeah.
You loving the energy?
I feel good. I'll feel good right when I'm off the clock. That's what make me feel good, Guy.
Annie Mae joining us with our Friday talkers right here on the Live Zone. Let's jump right into it so you can get off the clock,
Okay, there we go.
In this case, we're talking about the most depressing jobs in America. According to a newly released study, industries are significantly more likely to grapple with depression and frequent mental distress. Construction, real estate, manufacturing, they were low on the list, Annie Mae.
Oh, okay.
At the top, arts, entertainment, and media. Hey, isn't that us?
Wait, they're depressed?
Yes, number 2, food and prep service, and number 1, community and social services. The
Okay,
mere
yeah.
fact that we are on that list as being, I'm not depressed, are you?
Well, ask me what time of year, right? If you ask me in January, well, you having a different conversation versus if you ask me in June, July, right? When it's nice and sunny out. You know what's funny? I'm not even surprised really about like social services, social work.
Yeah.
My mom actually used to be in social work, and she was like, it was something I went to. I went, and had a degree in that in college, went into it, and decided it wasn't for me, because it's just a lot of stories that you hear about and things that you're doing. Like, think about like police work, right? How difficult it can be on the mental. I think that also might be another reason why doing like social media and of course television media might be a little bit higher on that, because if you don't have an absolute wall in between you and like the comments, then I think it could get to you mentally. The good thing is I literally couldn't care less. But I just don't care what people think about me. I think that's where I'm at. I'm like, I don't really care.
I need to take a lesson from you, because I truly do care. I'm like, oh my God, you said what? I remember one time someone, when I first started in TV, I didn't know how to do makeup. Hey, I'm a guy, right?
Yeah,
I don't know how to do
valid.
it, right?
Yeah.
And so somebody wrote, Guy is casket sharp. And I was like, hey, that's a compliment. No, that means as if I had died.
I was going to say like white. Like, what?
So I hired a makeup artist to teach me how to go about it. But yes, it bothered me.
Yeah. Guys don't have to do crazy in terms of makeup. Women have like TV makeup, right? I have TV makeup, and then I have like my kind of going out makeup, which is a lot less. But it's just a lot more. But guys can just dabble stuff on, do a little chapstick moment. You'll be fine. There you go.
All good. I think with media, it's so stressful.
Yes.
I mean, obviously, you're always on, and that's probably the hardest thing.
Yeah.
So I can see.
I think it is. Like, think about it. Like, if you have a bad day and you have to go sit at a desk job, you can go and be hungover at your desk job. If you're hungover at work at 4 in the morning, reporting on different things in the area, like it ain't an easy gig.
Yeah, I believe.
So cut us some slack.
I know. I kind of had one too many last night. So
right. So guys, like, no.
I'm just playing. Let's move on to the second story. In this case, apparently Americans really do have the filthiest mouths online. According to a newly released study, Americans use vulgar language online more than any other English-speaking country at a rate of roughly 1 in every 2,800 words. One of the words we really like to use is the a-hole one.
Oh,
so
do
you tend
that.
to use a lot of bad words online, Annie Mae?
Oh, not online.
Okay.
But I'm different though, because I think a lot of people like comment and put and like and stuff, all this stuff online. I rarely ever comment unless it's on somebody I know, right? So and I also don't say anything mean online, so I'm not commenting like anything that's worthy of an A or an F. You know what I mean? So, but I love me a curse word. I love me a curse word.
Doesn't it
And
feel
people
so
are
good?
like, "You're unintelligent." I'm like, "No, I'm passionate. There's a difference." I use it to like get across like how I feel, and I feel very strong emotions, as you can probably tell. So I use it for that, and I think it's also a generational thing. I think back in things were a little more prim and proper back in the day. They're
a
now
lady
they're a lot
wouldn't
more
do
loose.
that. Yeah, right.
Yeah, a lady can do whatever you want.
I agree. I think it's a little bit different though. I can tell you, for us guys, it is a compliment, especially if I'm online and I'm commenting on my good buddy's, let's say, feed. If I use a curse word or say something negative about him, in essence, I'm really complimenting him. That's what us guys do.
Oh my gosh, you bad A. Like, come on. Like, that's really, it's like, okay. I'm like, what am I even allowed to say anymore these days? Like, I don't even know, man.
How about you say, I love you? We'll
yes,
leave it at
there
that.
we go. Live, laugh, love.
It's called being honest. And speaking of honesty, we'll end with this, and that is brutal honesty makes relationships stronger, even when it hurts. Apparently, being honest with your partner during difficult conversations improves emotional well-being and relationship satisfaction. Are you honest, Annie Mae?
Oh my God. You know me. every single day on air, I tell what I think, my opinion, the truth.
Yeah.
I have no problem being honest about how I feel. I really struggle in a relationship. I'm a total baby.
Yeah.
I seriously am a total baby. Like, I will harbor. Like, if you do something that annoys me, my boyfriend says it all the time. If I do something that annoys you, like, just tell me. And I'm like, no. I'll harbor it.
Yep.
I stick it in a bottle. And then the problem is you miss the trash when you throw something, and then you're getting A, B, C, D, E through Z
Yeah.
from me because I held it all in before.
Sure,
So,
sure.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of a baby in that front.
I would say the same thing in my
Yeah.
relationship. Yeah, I think I just don't want to hurt her feelings.
Right?
You know, and
Yeah.
so, but I guess being honest will
Yeah.
help our relationship.
You would think, but then it's like, I don't want you to be mad at me, because then
Yeah.
half the time it creates this argument. I don't want to create an argument. If you want to start an argument with me, I have no problem finishing it.
Sure.
But it's like, I don't want to create something.
Yeah.
I think is where I'm
We
at.
got to find a happy medium somehow.
I know it's hard because I have no problem telling the truth otherwise.
She's not lying. Annie Mae joining us with our Friday Talkers right here on the Live Zone. Truly appreciate ya.
There you go.
All right, guys, we'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone on a Feel Good Friday. It's about to feel even better. Why? Because it's time for a little celebrity dish. Joining us to do just that on this Friday is Asia from Magic 102.3 back here on the LZ. What's up, my friend?
What's going on? You know I'm in Miami, right? And
Oh,
you know
is that
I'm
where
here
you're
the
at?
American Black Film Festival.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm here now.
Excuse me. When I grow up, I
Look,
want to
I
be
ran
just
it-
like you.
You need to be here. Look, I ran into a friend real quick that wants to say hi. Have
Please
you seen
do.
the movie? Straw? Have you seen the movie Straw?
I have. What?
This is Shalay Monique from the movie Straw.
How cool is that?
Hi.
How are you?
Thank you guys for making Straw the #1 film globally and on Netflix.
Wow, how cool is that? Yeah, I got to tell you, you know what I liked most about it is that it tells a different story, in my opinion, and it tells a story from a different outlook. Congratulations on all your success, and thank you so much for talking to little old me.
Thank you. You are everything.
Hey, you're welcome
I
to
had
join
to
us for
have
this
my
celebrity
friend
dish.
say
Tell her she can stick around. I'd love to get her comment as well. In this case, we're going to kick it off with Kanye West. Who doesn't want to talk about Kanye West? Apparently, guess what, Asia? Surprise! He showed up at the courthouse for Sean Diddy Combs earlier today. Now, word is that he got in, but he wasn't registered to show up, so they put him in the overflow room. You know, that's the room where
Yes.
any and everybody, Jack, Jill, Jim, just hanging out. Imagine that. Kanye walks
Yes.
in and just had to hang out there before he then left. What are you thinking about that?
I feel like I'm special because I was definitely in the second row for like 2 weeks straight. And if Kanye couldn't get in, I felt very, very special that I was there to cover the trial. But yeah, he needed to be knocked down a few pegs. He is not, king. And so yeah, I'm glad that they actually made him humble himself to go into room 24. That's the number of the room that the people overflow.
All right. Any other comments? She said, you know what? When it comes to Kanye, I don't want to comment at all. And quite honestly, I don't blame you. Let's move on to Aaron Rodgers. I got to tell you, I'm a huge football fan. So getting a chance to see Aaron Rodgers come back and do his thing yet again, yeah, I think it's going to be kind of cool. In this case, he's doing it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, he flew home recently and well, while doing so, he wanted to show off his new wedding ring. Apparently, showing it off to the TMZ flash mob, saying, hey guys, take a look at it. The big question, though, Asia, is who in the heck is this man married to? Yeah, that's what I said. Mum's the word. I can tell you right now, Asia's at the Black Film Festival down there in Miami. That signal down there, because I was just down there recently, is a doozy. Yeah, but for the most part, when it comes to Aaron Rodgers, what I would say is that, as long as the man is happy, as long as he's doing his thing, and in this case, as long as he wants to, live his best life and just flash the ring and not let us know who he's married, I say that's his business. And so he'll continue to do so. I bet you we won't ask as much once he starts scoring some touchdowns week in and week out, which I expect as well. We'll carry it on, but speaking of football, I got to tell you, a really troubling story. In this case, we're talking about Antonio Brown facing attempted murder charges. You get a chance to hear about this? Apparently, there's now a warrant out for his arrest. According to TMZ, law enforcement sources say that he was in Miami and they're seeking the arrest. Why? Well, it stems from a shooting at a celebrity boxing event back in May. Video obtained by TMZ shows him getting into a physical altercation with men he claimed tried to jump him, steal his jewelry, to which he then flashes a gun. In a video, you could see that gun, and then you hear shots ring out. Yet again, Antonio Brown now wanted for attempted murder. I have been following this man's career since, dear God, day one. It is truly troubling to see him now in this position. We'll end with this, and that is good news, sort of. Wendy Williams, you know her. Yeah, apparently she looked overjoyed to be out and about as she hung out with friends outside of that living facility where she's been living back in the Big Apple. Now, she got a chance to grab a meal with some of her girlfriends, and while doing so, she gripped on their shoulders, got a chance to say hi. You could see them smiling day in and day out, as they like to say, as she got a chance to hang out with friends. As many of you also know, she has been fighting to get out of her conservatorship since earlier this year, with numerous celebs coming to her defense. High five going out to Wendy Williams. We wish her well. All right, we call that the abbreviated version of Celebrity Dish. More Fox 5 Live Zone coming up next, right here. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. So the Army's 250th birthday parade begins at 6:30 tomorrow, right here in the nation's capital. We'll have extensive coverage throughout the day, and of course, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app so you can watch as we do just that for you. Now, the question remains, which streets are closed and how do you get around? Our very own Melanie Alwick has more.
Hey guys, so we came down here to 7th Street, wanted to show you the preparations for the beginning of tomorrow, the Army Festival. You know we've talked about these 19 miles of security fencing, and you can take a peek inside here. Everything kicks off 9:30 tomorrow morning with a fitness festival, and then 11 a.m. here on the National Mall between 7th and 14th Streets is where the Army 250th birthday festival is going to be. You can see a lot of the tents already up and the security screening area as well. Everyone is going to have to go through screening, and then that parade begins on Constitution Avenue at 6:30 p.m. Now, we just want to kind of let you know everything pretty much in this downtown area. If you are driving, it is going to be very difficult to get around. Those road closures went into effect at midnight this morning, or actually 12:01 this morning. And take a look here. We're talking about Independence Avenue, 23rd and 12th Street shut down, 14th Street along Pennsylvania Avenue, Rock Creek Parkway south of Virginia Avenue. Those closures are going to last until 6 a.m. Monday. And also tonight, be aware the George Washington Parkway closing at 6 p.m. in both directions between U.S. Route 50 and 395. That lasts until Sunday morning. Just remember, Metro. If you are planning on coming downtown this weekend, that is going to be your most efficient way to get around. And also a lot of information in terms of Metro. They say they're going to be operating on a regular Saturday schedule. Joint Base Andrews, the place where everybody is staging, at least the aircraft that's going to be participating in part of this pretty cool air show. And then there'll be fireworks also in the evening. And we've talked about the parade on the ground as well. The Abrams tanks, Stryker and Bradley vehicles, more than 6,000 soldiers participating in this. Now, this is a national security special event, so there are a lot of restrictions on what you can bring. And I just kind of picked some of the major ones that people might think would be okay off of the list. You cannot bring glass, thermal, or metal containers, so those Yetis, those Hydro Flasks, those are a no-go. No folding or camp chairs, no selfie sticks, tripods, monopods, no large coolers, bags, or signs, and umbrellas. That is going to be the big question. You can't bring a big golf umbrella, but at least according to the information on the website at this point, those small, compact umbrellas would be okay. And we know that the weather is going to be a factor as well. And we've been asking parade planners what the contingency plans are. We did just get a response from them saying that they are closely monitoring the weather and it's being taken into consideration. But at this point, nothing has changed. But obviously, if there is severe weather, they say that they'll notify us if they plan on making any changes. So that is the latest from down here at 7th Street. We think a lot of people are going to be coming out here to celebrate our wonderful U.S. Army and all the wonderful things that they do for Americans. So this is the place to be if you want to take part in that tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I got to tell you yet again, we are really excited, and we'll have continuous coverage throughout the day right here on Fox 5. We'll take a quick break and be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Can we say hip hip hooray for Howard University? Oh, I am smiling from ear to ear. You see, after sending a whopping 12 students to the NCAA Track and Field Championship in Oregon, well, more than any other HBCU, by the way, Howard University has an opportunity to make history tomorrow. The women's 4x100 relay team gave an electrifying performance yesterday, setting a new program best at 43.08. But wait, there's more. Additionally, another student will compete in the 100-meter hurdles finals tomorrow. Joining us to tell us all about it is, you know this guy. He's the man with the master plan. Yes, Mr. David Oliver, Howard Director of Track and Field, kind enough to join us on the Live Zone. What's going on, sir? Good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too. Thanks for having me on.
I got to tell you, first and foremost, congratulations. It's got to be cool to be at the helm and to be a part of this journey right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels good to have our student athletes out here representing the university well and representing Washington, D.C. as well. And we hope to go out there on Saturday and make some history.
So you heard me make mention that this will be Howard University's 12 students, I should say, in all are a part of this, more than any other HBCU. That, yet again, I would argue you get a high five for that. I mean, there's so many things I could just brag about what you guys and gals are doing.
Well, yeah, I think it just starts at the top with the support from our athletic director, Kerry Davis, and the administration at Howard, putting us in a position to really be successful here in track and field. And we're just holding up our end of the bargain and doing the best that we can and going out here and representing.
So I've always wondered, when it comes to track and field, what's the preparation? And I know that's a vast question, but obviously you all had to fly from D.C. all the way to Oregon. And then I can only imagine, you got to get prepped. The air probably is a little bit different. The folks around you a little bit different. The food tastes a little bit different, but yet you still got to show up and shine.
Yes, at the end of the day, everybody has to go through it. We're not the only school or the only athletes that have to do that. So you got to prepare yourself mentally. We've been working on that all year long. So this is the ultimate goal for every single program, is to be out here with representation in the finals. And we were able to accomplish that. This is the most difficult thing I feel to do is, it's 300 plus Division I programs, and to, be amongst the top 8 or 9 in a respective event is incredibly difficult. So you just have to be prepared mentally.
Not only that, but sir, I would be remiss if I did not make mention that you are an Olympian. I mean, we could just drop the mic on that one. and so with that being said, I'm curious, how cool is it for the students to be able to gain so much knowledge, to have interaction with someone that has achieved so much, and that someone being you?
Well, I hope they take full advantage of it. I would have loved to be in their shoes as a student athlete at Howard when I was in undergrad. I'm Howard born and bred, and I owe pretty much everything and all my successes to the university, and I'm very thankful. And I hope that when the day comes that they're able to pay it forward, that they'll feel the same way.
All right, so let's break it down. What can we expect tomorrow from this 4x100 relay team, and/or what's different about them in your eyes?
The 4x1, it takes 4 people coming together and making something happen. You just never know. That's why you got to line it up. It's an incredibly hard race for us. It's just great when you look at the start list and you're looking down, like you see all the amazing schools, and you're like, oh, Howard, what are they doing there? It's always a great feeling. But those young ladies are going to go out there. They're prepared, and hopefully they can make more history and bring home some points.
Yet again, there will be another student that's going to participate in the 100-meter hurdles finals tomorrow as well. What should we expect from her?
Oh, yes, Marcy has been having a fantastic season this year. We expect her to go out there and challenge for the national title. That is what her goal and aspiration has been all year. So she's prepared, and hopefully I'll be there and at the finish line celebrating a win with her.
So, I say this all the time, and that is, I am such a fan of Howard University. I wish I just had the opportunity to attend. I'm not lucky enough. But with that being said, the folks that are watching and perhaps saying, you know what, I want to join a program that wins, and now we can arguably say that definitely is your program, sir. What would you say to that person? Why should they come to Howard University to be a part of your program?
Well, you mentioned winning. That's what we do. We've always won in the classroom. As you can see, U.S. News and Report rankings, our university's always been top-notch there. and now the athletic programs are matching that. We have nationally ranked women's program in track and field, and if you want to be the best and have the best of both worlds, there's no better place than Howard University to come to.
Especially when you got one of the best at the helm. We'll end with this, and that is, as you made mention, for me, this is really the script being made for a movie. I can see it already. And with that being said, I'm curious, who would you want to play you in that movie, sir?
Oh, man. I'm not even, Damson Idris, he could play me. That sounds like he's a cool actor, so.
Good stuff. I thought you were going to say Denzel, but, maybe take a couple of years back.
Maybe later on when I'm in the retirement age or so, he can play me. I want to, I'm not that old yet, so, I want a little younger guy to play me.
Good stuff. Well, yet again, we are so proud of what you've been able to do. Continued success to you. Thank you so much for, yet again, everything that's going on at Howard. Every time I chat with you guys and girls, you're putting Howard back on the map. It's just so cool to see what you all are doing day in and day out. Congratulations, and hope you knock it out the park. Not hope, you will knock it out the park tomorrow. Thank you so very much. Yet again, we have been speaking with Mr. David Oliver. He's the Howard Director of Track and Field, Olympian at that, and kind enough to join us right here on the Live Zone. We'll talk to you soon, sir. Make it a great day.
All right, you too.
All right, guys. We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. Sylvia, our digital content producer, joining us now with all things we're following for you on our website, fox5dc.com. Happy Friday, Sylvia.
Happy Friday, Guy. And how are you feeling on this Feel Good Friday?
I'm feeling good. It's been a busy day, and it's going to be even busier tomorrow with regard to the military parade, celebrating 250 years of the U.S. Army.
Yes, so we do know that parade is taking place later in the evening at 6, but it's a full day of activities. The festival is kicking off at 11 a.m., and luckily for viewers at home, we will be covering everything tomorrow related to this festivities that are taking place over here on the Live Zone on air. So be sure to download Fox Local, of course, to keep up with what is going on, but also be sure to check fox5dc.com so you know more about those road closures. I could not stress that enough. I saw that there were some highway entrances that may also be blocked as well. So it's very important to take a look at the resources that we have kind of set up for everyone so you can better navigate what is going on. Now, when you think about this this parade, the military parade that is taking place, some people may be wondering, who can I expect to see here? You know,
That's a good question.
Oftentimes some people may think that we may see celebrities here, maybe people that potentially supported Trump in his candidacy, and you know, that we have seen even at the White House before. But the performer that is actually set to perform is country singer Noah Nix.
Oh, wow.
He will
Okay.
be performing at the parade, and you know, we can expect to see some governmental officials. West Virginia Governor Jim Justice is supposed to be there, so that's one person that you can probably think of seeing. But it's really going to be a day of a lot of movement going on. And I know we already spoke about weather tomorrow. A lot of people are a little concerned because we don't know if it's going to be a full pour or what that may look like. But definitely we will have everything for you here at Fox 5 DC. So be sure to tune in.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like I said, Jacqueline will be on from 2 to 4, and then I will follow her from 4 to 6, and then yet again, keep on watching because then we'll actually have the parade itself. So if you haven't already downloaded the Fox Local app, make sure you do so ASAP. Got about 2 minutes left, and I know you want to talk all about the Nats.
Yes. You know, I think this is actually crazy that I did not know about this. But the Nats have a full summer concert series, which basically means, you know, you buy a ticket so you get to come for the game and stay for the show. Or that's how I would see it. Some people may think the game is the show, but I'm saying for the performance after. And tonight they are having Nelly performing at the stadium. So that should be a really good one. I think the timing of this is actually great because Nelly and Ashanti just announced that they are having their own reality TV show that will air on Peacock. So I'm wondering if maybe we will see Ashanti there perhaps. There are rumors going around that she could potentially be pregnant with baby number 2, although it has not been confirmed. But you know, if we see a little waddle on the side of that field, we'll know exactly what's going on.
So you have not attended a concert as yet?
No, I have not attended a concert yet. I have gone to one baseball game. I went last year. I recommend no one to go to a baseball game as a first date with a huge baseball fan. Not a good idea at all. You know, here I am. I did it. I survived to tell you all the story and give you a warning. Don't do that.
I take it there wasn't a second date, but I won't get in your business.
You know, I don't even know if there'll ever be a second game based off of that interaction. But here we are. Maybe I'll make it out and, you know, come in like the last inning or something and sneak over to the performance that takes place.
Real quick, I saw last year, I saw Flo Rida there.
Yes.
And I got to be honest, I was not the biggest fan. That man could put on a show.
He is an amazing performer. That's one thing I do know
artist,
about Flo Rida. Also Pitbull as well. The two of them, even when the two of them are on stage together, amazing energy all the time. So definitely something to check out and keep an eye on.
Yet again, find out more information on our website, fox5dc.com. Appreciate you, Sylvia. Oh, by the way, you're joining us tomorrow as well, right?
Yes, of course.
We'll see you tomorrow for extensive coverage right here on Fox 5. We'll be right back. All right, guys, back here on the Fox 5 Live Zone. If you could only hear some of the conversations we have off air, I got to tell you, it's truly funny. Kennedy is joining us, our Fox 5 intern extraordinaire, with some of the stories we're following for you at home. What's up?
So the first one is the Recording Academy recently split their Country Album of the Year award into two categories, Best Traditional Country Album and Best Contemporary Country Album. They did that 4 months after Beyonce won for Best Country Album. And some are claiming that this is a direct result of her win because they didn't feel that she belonged in the country space. And a lot of people are speculating that in the future, most country artists from getting their inspiration from old country artists are going to win in the traditional country album. And then newer artists like Shabuzi, right here from the DMV, is going to get an award from the contemporary album.
Really? So I want to make sure I have this clear. Because of Beyonce, they're remixing it?
Essentially, yes. So the biggest speculation around Cowboy Carter, her album, was that it wasn't truly country. And Beyonce is arguing that it is country, it just has a lot of different genres in it. Now, artists like Shabuzi from Virginia says that he combined rap, pop, electronic, all into country, and some were saying that doesn't belong in the country sphere.
Wow.
So following all that controversy at the Grammys, they decided to split the album in two, and now here we have it.
Are you a fan of the album?
Oh, I am a huge fan of the album. I loved Cowboy Carter, and I think it really deserved its Grammy.
All right, good stuff. I haven't listened to it in its entirety. Perhaps I'll do that this weekend.
I think
so
you should.
we'll check it out. Hey, I live in Southwest, but in Northwest, or is it Northeast?
Northwest.
Northwest? Yeah, it happens to be an issue with the water.
Yes, there was some kind of electrical outing in Northwest DC, so there is still a boil water advisory in effect that includes areas like Tenleytown, Cathedral Heights, Chevy Chase, kind of towards the Maryland border. So you need to boil your water for at least 1 minute before brushing your teeth, washing your face, using it to cook, using it to eat, for drinking, making ice, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you know, this has happened before, and
Yes.
it sounds so tedious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't want to get sick.
Yeah, that's the problem. Nobody wants to boil water before they have to use it, and the water has to cool down before you can use it. So it might be tedious, but please, if you're in the Northwest DC area, make sure to boil your water so they can clear all of the bacteria. Hopefully the advisory will be lifted by tonight.
All right, we'll have to keep a close eye on that. For the latest, obviously, you can log on to our website, fox5dc.com. Because we got about a minute left, I want to tell folks what we were talking about off air prior to coming on, and that is apparently there's a discussion going on around the newsroom about what you put on grits.
Yes.
And so right before we hopped on, you said, Guy, do you put cheese on your grits?
Yes, so there's a debate that we're having here in the newsroom. Do you put cheese on your grits or do you put sugar on your grits? Please tune into the Take It too, but I put sugar on my grits and so does Guy. Half of the newsroom puts cheese on their grits. I understand if you're from the South, more people want like cheese and butter and all that stuff. I like sugar. Is it cream of wheat? I don't think so, but I prefer sugar.
I want folks to know, though, I mean, this is a serious newsroom. We are definitely following all things surrounding the military parade coming up tomorrow. But when you do stuff like that, it just, at times, you just got to have a little fun. And so the side discussion happens to be about grits.
Grits. So make sure you tune into the Take It 2 here on Fox 5, and we'll be talking about that.
All right. I think I'm going to have to watch that. Yet again, Kennedy, our super intern, joining us right here on the Live Zone. We truly appreciate you. As she said, if you haven't already done so, make sure you download the Fox Local app. Why? So you could watch The Take. I'm thinking about those grits. Coming up now.